I set off for the rough bounds, but at this time of year, in the middle of winter, the days are short and the nights are long, and by the time I reached the long winding road that leads to a dead end at the head of the rough bounds, night was setting in. So I got my van, settled up and parked up for the night, and got ready for a good night before setting off on an epic adventure the following day. Right folks, hello, how you doing? Oh, I tell you what, it's been a long journey to get here. I've got the van, as you can see, but I'm not planning on staying in the van. This is an area called the Rough Bounds of Knoydart, and the journey up is just epic. It's I've said this before, but sometimes the journey to get to the destination before you've even started hiking can be a bit of an adventure, and that was the case today. It was a long drive from my home in Perthshire up through the Highlands as the light was dimming. It's late in the year. We're in mid-December now. Not long until the shortest day actually. So yeah, it was about 4:30 when I got here, 4:35ish, and it was pretty much pitch black. Interesting driving up. Always these wee windy roads are a nightmare. Anyway, enough about the drive up. The adventure in this video is I'm here to try and bag a couple of remote mountains that I haven't been to yet, and I need to do them. You might be aware, you might not be aware. Those of you who are into hill walking will know about the Munros, and people go out and bag the Munros and try and tick them all off. But there's also a set of mountains called the Corbetts, which sit between 2,500 feet and 3,000 feet. And I've got possibly a handful of Corbetts still to do on the mainland anyway, and most of them are in Knoydart, and the two that I'm hoping to do over the next few days are hard won. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a really tough journey. I'm taking my tent with me. It's a long walk in to the base of the first mountain, and I'm aiming to get up that tomorrow evening, camp on or near the summit before heading all the way back down to reascend up its neighbouring peak, which is also in the middle of nowhere. So I really need to get these done. I need to do them, and it's going to be tough. There's I don't even. It's going to be tough, and I don't know if I'm going to manage it. As I said, the daylight's going to be an issue. There's only, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours worth of daylight at this time of year. It's literally 2 or 3 days until the shortest day. So I'm going to have to really watch that. From reading reports and other people doing these mountains the same way I'm doing them, there's also a couple of river crossings which could be problematic, and the first one's pretty close to the road, so I'm hoping I can get across that. Hopefully the rain that's happened earlier in the week's subsided, so there's quite a few obstacles in the way, and I'm going to be chuffed if I get these, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I'd probably recommend doing these in this longer days of late spring, early summer maybe, but there's a reason why I've chosen to do these tomorrow, this weekend, and I'll go into that tomorrow depending on whether it happens or not. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I'm pretty knacked, to be honest with you. It's quite stressful driving along these wee windy roads trying to avoid the deer, of which there were some impressive stags actually coming along there. Anyway, I'm going to get the bed down, have a bite to eat, and you'll see me in the morning, hopefully, with my kit all ready and ready to try and tackle these two mountains. So yeah, time to chill. I'll see you in the morning. With sunrise not happening until nearer 9 AM, I had a leisurely start. I didn't want to start in the dark because of that first river crossing, which was relatively close to where the van was parked, so I waited until there was enough light before I set off on my long adventure. Good morning, folks. Right, first problem, I think I mentioned last night. Shall I say I've left the van? I don't know if you can see over my shoulder, the van's way up there somewhere. But yeah, there is a couple of river crossings and I've come to the first one behind me here. I don't know if you can see it. And yeah, the bridge isn't here, which I knew about, so I'm going to have to try and find somewhere to ford it. I took the chance here because the book does say you can take an hour's diversion up and round this. But if the water levels are low, you should be able to ford it somewhere. I'm just looking here, I think I might be able to get across down here, try and keep dry feet, but it'll save me an hour. And when I arrived last night it was dark, so I couldn't see how high the water levels were, but this whole area that I'm in on the map is underwater. It's part of the loch, and it's a dammed loch, so when the water levels are high, this is all, yeah, it's all underwater. I'll put a map up now, you've probably just seen it. So yeah, I'm going to shut up there, I'm going to try and get across, find a place to cross the river, the burn here, and then once I'm across it should be pretty good going until I get to the next river crossing. So not long in, first obstacle already reached. Right, let's go and see if I can get across here. The river doesn't look too bad here, but I was really keen not to get wet feet so early on in the journey. I think had it been a wee bit lower I would have got across no problem at all, but I tightened my gaiters and just went for it. The stepping stones that were there were well under the water, and I contemplated the crossing for a minute before just going for it and hoping to keep dry feet. Right, quick update, very quick update. Whew. I have passed crossed the river. It doesn't look too much, but yeah, I'm glad I had my gaiters on. It was over the level of my boots. Got a wee bit of wetness in my left, but just round about the ankle. It's not seeped down, so I should be fine. So literally 15 minutes in, first obstacle reached. Let's just hope the second river crossing, which is the one they talk about can be impassable, is okay. But there's only one way to find out, so I'll report back later on and give you an update of where I am and a bit more detail about the route. But I need to get cracked on because I have got a long way to go and there's not much daylight at this time of the year, so let's get cracked on. So on I headed, and before long I'd made my way down to the shores of the loch, and from here on in it was a long walk into a wilderness area, a very remote area, well in Scottish terms anyway, and I had to plod my way along some very wet, uneven, boggy ground to even get to the start of the climb. It did feel rather special, as well as being out there and remote. Wow. Look at this. What a place, eh? Absolutely beautiful. I just thought I'd give you a quick update. Oh, this isn't easy work. You can see, I was going to say, you can see I'm actually in my summer gear. I do have my long johns in the bag, and we're only, what date is it? I think it's the 17th or 18th of December. So we're only 3 or 4 days away from the longest night and the shortest day. But it's unseasonably mild. There has been lots of snow last week, but that's all kind of melted away. I do have my ice axe and crampons. There might be some remaining patches when I get higher up, but the temperature on the summits, on the Munro tops, which are higher, are to be 11 or 12 degrees overnight. Now, I've had it colder in the Glen in the summer than that. So I did have all my winter gear with me. It's in the van, but I just thought I'd be overheating in that, so I've brought my long johns. I do have all my duvet jackets and waterproofs and what have you, crampons, ice axe, just in case, but the forecast for the next 3 or 4 days is this. I think it's an omega high. Any weathermen out there, keep me right, a blocking high anyway, and it's mild air that's coming behind it. So anyway, yeah, progress. I'm glad that I took the shortcut and forded the river where I did, because this path so far, I've done maybe 4 or 5 kilometres. I'm not far from the second river crossing. But the progress is slow because there is a track, but it's so boggy and so uneven, it makes it really hard going. So I just need to be aware of my time, because if I want to really summit camp, but there's not many hours of daylight, as I've mentioned. So let's see how we get on. Let's make sure we can get across this next river crossing, and I'll report back later on. Right, let's go. after some more trudging along the path, I eventually reached the second river crossing that can be problematic in the wet. However, it didn't look too bad, although it was wide enough for me to scout around for a wee while to try and find a suitable spot where there was enough boulders crossing the river to allow me to pass with dry feet. Right guys, as you've probably just seen, that's me crossed the river which is behind me there. Look up there, that is the river. Probably doesn't look too much on the camera, but I can see why, if it was a bit wetter and the river was higher, that would have been impossible to cross. So I managed to get a spot down here where I was glad of the poles, put it that way. It doesn't mean I have to forget about this, because I still need to get back and cross these two streams some point tomorrow or the next day, so I just have to watch the weather, and if it starts raining heavily, I'll maybe have to look for an alternative return route, or I'll have to skirt higher up the glen where the burn gets smaller. But yeah, I'm super glad to get across here. I've still got about 5 or 6 kilometres to the base of the hill before I start climbing, and yeah, time's marching on, so yeah, enough talking, let's get walking. I need to get up to the top of this mountain. Ooh. I was glad to have made it across this second river crossing, and I still had another one to come which I didn't know about at this point. But anyway, it's such a remote area. A slip here by myself could have had bad consequences, because there wasn't going to be many people wandering around here for days. It could be weeks in fact, so I was glad to get across. It's a seagull. Get the size of that. Wow. Beautiful. Oh, I don't know if you saw that. I actually thought it was a heron. It was that big, but I'm pretty sure that it was either a golden eagle or a sea eagle. I think it was a sea eagle, just by the shape of its beak. You can tell I'm no bird watcher. Right. Yeah, time to keep going. Ooh. Right, I'm at the second dam now. This is Loch Quaich. Oh, it's taking me about 2.5, 3 hours. Oh, you'll not see me. 2.5, 3 hours to get here. And yeah, I'm going to stop and get some lunch here. It's been quite a trek coming along there. About halfway, there's a path re-emerges out of the loch, and I think it must have been the track that they brought the vehicles along to build these dams. And obviously when they flooded the loch, that disappeared, so the first half was across that terrible ground. But yeah, I'm at this point now. I can see my objective, Ben Aidan. Once I've had my lunch, it's going to be along here, and then I'm going to have to start climbing, and that's where the real pain's going to come, and hopefully I can make it to the top. The cloud's just sitting on the tops at the moment. Unfortunately, I was hoping I'd get above the cloud, but I'm not going to be high enough in Ben Aidan for that, I don't think. Not today anyway, but yeah, anyway, let's shut up, let's get some lunch, and then we can get cracked on. And up, here we go. Well packaged away. Oh. For later on, some Scotch eggs. I'm not going to have that at the moment. Oh, these look a bit flattened, so I'll have these wraps. Spicy bean with cheese wraps. So that's what I'm having for my lunch. Hopefully it'll give me some energy. Oh, I tell you what, it feels remote here, I tell you. Time to go. After having my lunch at the dams, this is really the point where you start climbing. I had to drop down a little bit before ascending the first mountain, which is called Ben Aidan. And these hills that I was heading up are prize summits because they're hard to get to. As you can see from here, it was a good long walk in for me to get to the base of the hill, but even doing it from other directions, they both take a bit of time, and unless you're really fit, you need at least one overnight stay. Alright guys, right, that's me started the ascent. Literally just started the ascent down there of Ben Aidan, which is that hill, oh let me see, up there. That's where I'm headed for. And I'm actually going to try and head onto that ridge, the northeast ridge. It's just very, very wet, everything's wet, so I'm thinking if I get onto the ridge it might be a bit drier. And it's certainly not cold, so I'm not going to have any verglass or ice to worry about. Not today anyway, so I've got about 2 hours now until the light starts to fade and the sun goes down. Maybe 2.5. So I'm hoping that I can get up there before it gets dark. It doesn't bother me too much. I've got 2 head torches with me and a lighting system I use for the camera, which I could set up to set the tent up in the dark. It's not an issue, but I'd rather do it and enjoy the sunset if it happens. But I think the top might be in the cloud, unfortunately. But there's only one way to find out. So let's move on and see if we can get to the top. Right, let's go. So up I headed, and I'm not going to lie, it was hard work, especially carrying all my camping gear and my camera gear and all that stuff. But yeah, slow and steady was the way, and I was slowly making progress up the mountain. Look at that view. Oh, I can see all the way down to where I came from. It's a long way away. Anyway, I've not done a bit to camera for a bit. I've come up the glen, which is sweeping down towards the loch, which I walked along. I did attempt to start going up the ridge here on the left, but the rocks look dry. They're certainly not icy, but they're certainly not dry. They're very, very greasy and slippy, so I dropped back into the glen because I didn't fancy slipping on the way up here. We're a long way from anywhere here, so I took the safe option. I've just been plodding my way up. I've been trying to conserve my energy, not going too quickly, because tomorrow is an even bigger day than today. So I've still got another 300 metres of ascent to do, and about an hour and a half, no less than that, an hour till sunset. So I really need to get going, but doing bits to camera like this doesn't help. But look at that view. How can you not stop and take in that? Absolutely fantastic. What a view. Wow. Woo. Right. Let's go. Report back in a wee while. Right guys, right, just a wee update. I am now about 100 metres vertically from the summit and I'm in the cloud. I don't know if the cloud's dropped or I've just come into it, but I'm hoping it's dropping, because we might pop out the top of it. I don't think we will. I think this hill's still a wee bit not high enough to pop out the cloud, but sometimes what happens is the day goes on, the cloud can lower, usually when the sun goes down, but who knows. But still got a wee bit to go. You see over my shoulder here, up here, into the cloud, and hopefully I'll have enough time before the light fades to put the tent up and get everything sorted. Tell you, the first thing I'm going to do once I've got the tent out is get a coffee though, because yeah, I feel like I need some caffeine. Oh man, I'm pooped. It's been a long way. I'm still not there. Let's not count my chickens and all that before they hatch, so yeah, onwards we go, and I'll report back when we get to the top, if we make it. Woo! To make speedy progress is almost impossible. There was no paths and the ground was pretty rough. And again, similar to the river crossings, I'm in the middle of nowhere here and not sure when the next passer-by would be, so taking my time was very important. I didn't want to slip and twist an ankle. There was no phone signal down here, and you just have to be very careful on this terrain and being this far away from anyone. But yeah, on I went, and things were starting to brighten up, and I started to wonder if my luck was going to be in. Just smile, look at the sun. Woohoo! There's the summit. Just there, but I've just popped out of the cloud. You can see my Brocken behind me. And over here behind me you can see the Quiche poking out. Wow! Yes! What? Woo! What an experience. Right, I still need to get to the top and find the pitch, so wow. Let's just go. Fantastic. Woohoo! Summit. There's a fog bowl with my Brocken and glories. Absolutely stunning. You get a signal up here as well. Look at this. Yeehaw! Woohoo! Right folks, don't know if you can see my Brocken behind me over there. I've hit the jackpot. Literally, this is the summit of Ben Aidan, which is 859 metres, and we're just literally out of the cloud and no more. Whether it'll go back into the cloud, I don't know, but can't believe my luck. If I spin round, you might be able to see behind me Quiche. Yeah, just there, poking out. Absolutely wonderful. And you can see the sun's just about touching. I don't know if you'll be able to make that out. The sun's not far away, yeah, from touching the horizon, so I do need to find somewhere to pitch. But this, I don't want to leave here. This is fabulous. I can't believe it. Yeah, all day hiking and I've been rewarded with this. I'm feeling rather smug. Whoa, better not fall over on the top here. Yeah, what a place like that. Yes. Haha. Woo! Right, let's go and find somewhere to get the tent up. That's what it looks as good as I'm going to get. I don't have time to really search about it too much, so it's a wee bit damp, but where's not been damp. So I'm going to set the tent up here and hopefully get up before it gets dark. But look at that, I don't know if you can see the Brocken behind me. The moon's rising, sun's going down over there, above the clouds. Right, I need to shut up about all that stuff and just get my tent up, or I'm going to be doing this in the dark. Right, well, there's a wee water puddle over there as well where I can get some water. So, right, let's do this. Get the tent up. So it wasn't a super flat area to pitch the tent, but I got it up and I had my big thick sleeping mat with me, which is great to ironing out any lumps and bumps, so I was confident it was going to be comfortable enough. And it was just glorious. The cloud was starting to lower a bit more and the views were just beautiful. So I got everything ready, sleeping bag out, tent up, sleeping pad in, before heading to make my tea and have a coffee. Right guys, as you can see there's the tent is now set. I don't know if you can make the moon is coming up over yonder. So I'm just down from the summit. The summit is literally just up there, and you can see the views are just spectacular. Done not bad here. And the good thing about this, I was just going to show you up here, and just get up here a wee bit. I'll just spin this round so you can see there's a wee water, a wee puddle, and it looks pretty clear. In fact, there's still some ice there, which is amazing. So it's not far from the tent because I'm just about out of water. So I'm going to get a coffee on now and just chill and watch the sun go down because it's not long. I've timed it almost perfectly. I think I've got another 10-15 minutes before the sun sets, and then yeah, hopefully there's a few wispy bits of cloud, but you know what, I'm going to get a coffee on, and hopefully that coffee will be ready before the sun goes down completely. But yeah, looking forward to the rest of this trip. This is only 1/3 of the way through. Tomorrow's a big day, so we'll report back a wee bit about that later on, but right now I need some caffeine. Oh, and by the way, the time is it's just after 3 o'clock. It's about 3:15 at the moment, so that shows you how early the sun goes down at this time of year. But as I said earlier, I've had it colder in the summer. As I said, the forecast was 11 or 12 degrees above the inversion, and I'm just in my kind of not even a mid layer, very thin mid layer with a base layer on, and I'm absolutely fine. So right, enough waffling. Let's get some coffee on. Woo! Hi folks, I'm tucked up in my sleeping bag now just to warm my feet up. It's pretty hard to keep your feet dry in that sort of terrain, but anyway, I didn't really talk much about what summit I'm on because of all the excitement with the inversion, which was just brilliant. It made that slog well worth it. And the summit I'm on is Ben Aidan. I think I did mention it, but I didn't really go into it. And it's a really, it's a hard won summit, I tell you, especially, well, any way you come into it. I've come in from Loch Quaich, I don't know, maybe 13 or 14 kilometres across pretty rough ground. Not many paths when you get onto the mountain. Zero paths, to be honest with you. until you get right to near the summit. You can do it from there's a bothy down called Surley's Bothy. You can do it that way, or you can do it from Barrisdale. And it does feel really remote. I've been over to, you'll have seen the video where I kayaked in to Larven and some of the Munros on the Knoydart Peninsula. And they've got a great feeling about them, but they just don't feel as remote as this for some reason. I think it's because there's a campsite and there's a wee settlement down in Barrisdale. Whereas this, although Barrisdale's probably the same distance behind me, getting into it, it really does, the rough bounds lives up to its name. It really, really does. It's a special hill, this one. Even more special in conditions like this. This doesn't happen very often. So it's, yeah, it's been hard won. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not. This is just, well, we're not even halfway through. Tomorrow is a big, big day. I might have to camp out again tomorrow night. I'm hoping to get back to the van, but I'm not sure whether it'll happen with the ground that we've been covering. It's touch and go whether I'll be camping out tomorrow or whether I'll get back to the van tomorrow night or not. But I'm going to try and get up early. Sunrise is just before 9 a.m, so I'm going to try and get up before that and try and get going. I'm not going to risk going in the dark, just because if there was a path going off here, no problem, I'd be off in the dark. But you need to see where you're going quite a bit ahead of you to pick the right line. There's quite a lot of crags that you could go awry on. So yeah, I'm going to call it a night here, and we'll see you in the morning where we get tucked up in my bed and chill out and hopefully get a good night's sleep. Good night. Right, morning folks. It's about 7:30. Slept all right. I had to deflate the mattress halfway through the night because I pumped it up too much. If you pump it up too much, it's rigid, and if you let a wee bit of air out of it, it actually allows your body to sink into it. Anyway, a wee tip for you. It's about 7:30. I need to get going. Today is a big day. It's a bigger day than yesterday. Yesterday was a big day, so I really need to get out of this sleeping bag. First things first. That's going to be the hardest thing about the day, is getting out of this nice, warm, cosy sleeping bag. But yeah, no, I've got to descend the mountain the way I came. The second mountain is further away from me, the van, so I need to go back to then walk further away, if that makes sense. And then it's a steep ascent up to the second mountain top, and then it's a longer walk back than it is from here. Put it that way, back to the van. So if I don't want to be doing those river crossings in the dark, or maybe it might end up just camping out a second night. I did bring provisions for that, but anyway, I need to get up and get moving, so I really don't want to get out of the bed. Right, let's go. See what it's looking like out here. Wow. A wee look outside confirmed that it looked like it was going to be another fabulous day, and the dawn light was just starting to light up the eastern horizon with those oranges and pinks. I was looking forward to the day ahead. Just nipping up to the summit just to have a quick look before I go and straight camp and have my coffee and what have you. Too nice not to. Wow. Wowee. Well, I'm glad I came up. Oh, let me turn this off. If I can figure it out. There we go. Yeah, I'm glad I came up. So I wouldn't have seen the moon setting out over just to the north of the Isle of Skye. You can see the cooling now. Wow, it's going to be some day today. And then down below me here, I get a right good view right down the glen. I'm going to be going up to the mountain number 2, but also right down where I've come. There's a big fog bank. The clouds lowered even further. It's just sitting along the base of the glen. It's absolutely glorious. So yeah, wow, I'm going to take some pictures here, I think. And then yeah, I'll head down, have a coffee, and there should be enough light by then to strike camp and start heading on this big journey. But yeah, I know I should be moving quicker, but this is just absolutely astounding. Oh my God. So after spending a bit of time on the summit, enjoying those fabulous views, it was time to get back to the tent and strike camp. It's the part of the adventure I least look forward to, but it never turns out to be as bad as I imagine it before I start taking the tent in. Anyway, I was a wee bit behind the curve, having spent so much time on the summit, and I could have been going by now because there was enough daylight, but it was just so nice. So I got the tent away and everything packed up, and I sat down to enjoy the sunrise with my breakfast and a coffee. Right. Ooh, as you can probably see, the sun has literally just risen. Bang on cue, it's 9 o'clock on the nose, and it rose over just to the west of Ben Nevis. So since I was on the summit, I've come down, I've struck camp, I've had my coffee and my Scotch egg for breakfast. Excuse me. So now I need to descend back down the way I came, and then that's going back towards the car, and then I need to go even further away from the van. I'm going to say car, van. And the second mountain's over, further into Knoydart, so I'm hoping to get there within 3 hours. I reckon if I get to the summit of that around about 1 o'clock will be my cut-off time. It'll give me 3.5 hours to get back before it's dark. So yeah, I'm a bit behind the curve. I could have got up an hour earlier, but I just didn't want to leave that lovely warm sleeping bag. So less talking, let's get walking and see if I can yeah, finish my conquest. Let's go. God, the bag doesn't get any lighter, I tell you. Yeehaw. Right, let's go. Right folks, I've not come far, but I just thought I'd stop and show you. There's the summit behind me actually, you can see it over my shoulder. No, you can't. My bag's in the way. Anyway, what I want to show you was over here is, where is it? Yeah, just in the sunshine there, that's the summit I've got to get to next. Way over there, but you can see it's quite a big drop down, all the way down, and then quite a big reascent, so you can see the task I've got ahead of me. But let me just swing you around, just thought I'd show you that. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better. So that there is where I'm going, and I'm going to have to drop all the way back down, way over there, come along the glen, up to this point here, cut up onto the ridge there, and then it's a long walk all the way back down the ridge. That's what I'm hoping to do anyway. And my van's way over there somewhere. So quite a bit of walking yet to do. So right, I'm going to put the camera away for a while and get some miles in, and I'll report back later on. Whew, let's go. It was a glorious, glorious morning, and I set off down off the summit of Ben Aidan. And because it was so nice and the rock had all dried overnight, I decided to take the ridge back down as opposed to heading down into the damp, wet, slippy, steep-sided corrie. I stuck to the crest of the ridge and dropped down towards that fog bank in the glen. Right guys, probably see me coming down this ridge behind me. Absolutely glorious it is too. What a great way to come down, and the reason I chose to come down was that the breeze was quite warm last night. I know this because I hung my socks out to dry and they were bone dry when I put them on this morning. So I thought the rocks would be dry coming down this ridge, and they were. It was lovely at the top, super grippy. It was a wee bit of route finding, some easy scrambling, which was lovely. I had to be careful with the big pack on, but it's just taken me a lot longer. There's bits where I've had to go out and then come back and go around the other side to drop down over steep wee drops. And the other thing which I didn't really contemplate was, I don't know if you'll see this, let me just turn around. Can you see, that's frosted grass, and all the wee lochans are all frosted over. So as I've dropped down, because it's an inversion, it was really warm at the top. It's now below freezing here, and somewhere I just have to be careful because it's a bit icy in places. So well behind schedule. Am I going to have to camp? I might have to camp, I don't know. I'm not going to rush it. It's not a place to make any mistakes. So worst case scenario is I have to camp out again tonight. As I said, I do have enough food for a second night in the hill. So anyway, just having a wee break here. I'm going to be down into that fog in a wee while. Just taking in the views, get my backpack back on, and then head down into the mist. Ooh. Right, down we go again. That's me back down, just about another 100 metres or so to drop, but it feels like I'm away to walk into a wall of fog. Look at that. And it's a lot colder down here. I'm wishing I hadn't taken my hat off. I have to put my buff on my head to keep myself warm. But yeah, a way to descend into the fog now. That's me back in the glen. Oh, on a path of sorts. Oh, that's taking me forever. And that's taking me twice as long as I thought it was going to take me. However, better to be safe and take your time than I'm sorry. Right, onwards we go. Let's see if we can get to peak number 2. Oh, I can get out of this mist. Oh, right, I've come down. I've had a problem. This beautiful area behind me, look at this. Let me just spin the camera around so you can see how beautiful it is. Look at that. There's where I've come from, away up there. This lovely little loch in here, or loch. Beautiful, very atmospheric. However, I've got to get across it. I'm going to go back up here to see if there's a bit to cross here, but otherwise I'm going to have to take me socks and shoes off and just wade it at this point, or maybe wade it a bit further up where it's less deep. Bollocks. Nice spot for a wild camp though. Oh man, right. Let's go and see if there's anywhere else to ford. It might be a bit shallower. So there wasn't really anywhere better to ford than where I was. It was quite wide, but it wasn't overly deep, or it didn't look overly deep, but deep enough to go up to your knees. So took my boots and my socks off and set about getting across this unexpected river crossing. I hadn't thought about this one, to be honest with you, because these two hills aren't often done together and there's no guide book descriptions. I'd just assumed there might be a bridge down here. How silly. Anyway, off I went into the cold, icy waters of Knoydart. Oh, that's deep. Oh, well that was strangely refreshing. My feet feel brilliant after that. Beautiful bay here, absolutely gorgeous. I can imagine there were some stepping stones, but they were well submerged. I mean, even if I put my gaiters on, the level would have come up over the top of them. So maybe in the summer when the levels are lower, you could get across there easily, but otherwise it's quite nice and soft sand on the feet for crossing. Usually it's rocky, a bit of a nightmare. Poles are essential. But yeah, what a spot this is. I'm almost tempted to linger, but things aren't going to plan, let's put it that way, time-wise, because it's now 11:15. And I've not even started the climb yet. Oh man. But what a place, very atmospheric. I can sometimes every now and again see Ben Aidan up there, and I'm going up this way. I think I'll rise out of the fog. Not too long, but yeah, time to get my boots back on and yeah, get cracked on. Whew, right. In the middle of nowhere really here. Really feels rough and remote, should I say. Rough and remote. Beautiful. Right, let's go. Oh, right guys, it's now 12:15 and I've been going along this kind of stalker's path. I don't know if you can make it out, it's very, very wet, and yeah, I've still got a long way to go. I'm getting the first glimpses up there, I don't know if you can see it, there we go. First glimpses of starting to reach the top of the cloud. Still looks an awful long way to go, so I think, my thinking at the moment is I'll do a summit camp up here. I don't mind walking out in the dark. I've actually got 3 head torches with me, but I'm pretty tired, you know, and if it's going to be really nice up there, why not? I might change my mind again, but anyway, I need to get going. I want to ascend out of this mist. It's amazing what a wee bit of sunshine can do, so let's get cracked on. Well, nearly out of the cloud. The fog there's Ben Aidan, that was up. God, doesn't it look far away? I had to go all the way down the ridge, drop right back down and come all the way along again, so yeah, I'll spin you around and see. You can tell where I'm going. I'm going up to this Bollocks up here and I'll be cutting up there, so yeah, I'll be glad when I get in the sunshine, that's for sure. Woo! Still frosty here. A lot of frost on the ground. Now you can make that out. Yeah. Frosty McFrosty. Right, let's go. Look at that over there. Wow. There's the sunshine. Alright. So I've spent a good few hours since I left the summit, out of the sunshine, walking through the dense fog down below me. But look at this, in just a few metres the sun returns. Ah, that feels nice. Oh yes, I've said it lots of times, I'll say it again. What a difference a wee bit of sunshine makes. Oh yes. Right, I'm just going to take my time, plodding my way up to the summit. Still got a long way to go, but look at this. What a place. Woohoo! Right, let's go. So up into the sunshine I went, and my God, it felt good. Having spent a few hours down in a different world under the gloom and the cold of that fog, it was lovely to get the warmth of the sun on my face, and it was just absolutely glorious walking high above the clouds with blue skies above and in such a remote and wonderful part of the country. What a treat. Oh man, didn't think I'd be saying this in the bleak mid-winter. But I've stopped in a bit of shade because I am roasting. It's so warm up here above the inversion. I mean, even in the shade here, it's still a wee bit of frost in the ground. I don't know if you can make that out. Frosty as soon as you get in the shade, but look at that up there, it's roasting. Anyway, that's where I'm going. I'm going to weave up into this Bollocks, then up here, and the summit's just over there somewhere. Over there. I'll try and do a summit camp up there. But now that I've decided that I'm doing a summit camp, it's kind of taking the pressure off a wee bit. I've slowed right down. Not that I could have gone much faster anyway, but it's allowed me to take a bit more time to take some photographs, because just round about here, it's just glorious. On a day like today, it's glorious anyway, but when you've got that low-lying fog, my God, it's just glorious. I'm going to say glorious again. Glorious. I need to increase my vocabulary. Right, put the camera away. Let's get up to the top of this mountain. Right, as we just reached the Bollocks, just behind me there, and the path now wanders its way down to Barrisdale, just down there, and that's Larven over my shoulder. But I need to get up here now. So it's off the beaten track now. I just need to pick my way up and try and get my way through these crags safely. So I still need to take my time. It's going to be energy sapping and I'm pretty knackered, so I'm glad that I've decided not to try and get back to the van, because at the moment I'm about as far away as anywhere I can get. Oh, there's some deer down there. Let's see if I can just, don't know if you can make them out. Let's see if I can zoom in. They've seen me. I don't know if you can see them in the middle of the picture there. It's starting to move off now, or one or two of them are anyway. Well, hopefully I've not disturbed them too much. Right, back to the job in hand. Try to get my way up here. Let's go. By this point, I was pretty knackered. And I did a bit of ascent up from the Bollocks, but yeah, once I got views down past Larven, I decided to have a wee seat, because ahead of me was a steep gully climb before I got onto the ridge line of this second mountain. But it was just lovely. The views were fantastic. And you can see just to my right here, there's a gully. It doesn't look too steep on the camera here, but I tell you what, it was enough to get me puffing and panting as I slowly made my way up towards the summit of this mountain. Oh, alright folks, thought I'd give you an update. That has been a toil, I tell you. I finally come onto the, I wouldn't say path, it's a faint path, with the recognised route up this Corbett. I'm not quite there yet. This is a top behind me. I dropped down and I've got about another 150 metres of ascent. But I'm glad to have come off the pathless stuff, because that was pretty hairy coming up that gully. Anyway, if I turned round you will see the view. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? And over there, that's Ben Scriel, over by Arnisdale, and then over to Larven. It's just absolutely stunning. The inversion's a lot lower than it was yesterday, but still beautiful. So anyway, hopefully there'll be lots of views once I get up there. I need to get up there and get the tent up now. I might actually be pushing it for, I think I'll be up plenty of time for sunset, but I don't know what I was thinking, trying to fit this in plus getting back to the van tonight. It's never going to happen. I'm not as young as I used to be. Ah, right, let's go. I'll report back at the top. The summit. Oh, I could kiss this. I could hug it. Oh. Oh. I tell you what, I'm glad to see this boy. Oh. Wow. Well, the views from this summit don't disappoint, and the inversion has stayed. Well, the inversion, the fog in the valleys. The views are just stunning in all directions. I can see out to Rum, over to Skye. Obviously Knoydart's right before me. It's beautiful. Anyway, this is a big, as Corbetts go, they don't get much bigger than this. I think this might be the biggest, or the highest Corbett. If it's not the highest Corbett, it's certainly in the top 5. It sits at 913 point something metres. It's just below that Munro status. But anyway, enough talking about hills. I need to get the tent up. The sun is lowering. There's a couple of water sources right in the summit, which I'm delighted about. So I'm just going to get a nice pitch just now, get the tent up, chill, and then I'll report back later on. So let's have a look for a pitch. So many places to choose from. Right, sun's still out. That's me got the tent up just behind me there, as you can see. Beautiful position. You look over my shoulder here, you see right down over the inversion, and then over here, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it might be a bit. Yeah, you can just about make out the moon is rising again in the middle of the picture. Oh, there's the summit. There's the sun about to dip behind the horizon. So I'm going to go and get some water, then just sit and watch the sunset and think about food. Tell you what, I'm glad to be here. Feeling a bit pooped, but anyway, let's go and enjoy this sunset. It's a full moon. It's absolutely glorious, and the sun's now set. I sat and watched that, it was lovely. Got my stuff ready, I'm going to make my tea in a wee minute or two. The time is, what time is it? 25 to 4. It's not even 4 o'clock yet. The sun's gone down, but as I said yesterday, yeah, it's 2 days until the shortest day, so yeah, I'm just scoping out while I've still got some light, just in case the conditions change tomorrow. I'm scoping out the ridge back down. There's a few tricky steps in it for tomorrow. It's another big day tomorrow, actually. I honestly don't know what was. There's no way I was going to manage this and out. To be fair, had it been summertime or longer days, I could have done it, but to be honest, I was pretty knackered. I'm very glad to get the tent up. So. Yeah, so I'm scoping out the ridge route down. It's a good good few kilometres back to the van, but I've got food. I've got an extra meal which I'm going to have in a wee while, which was good. I'd kind of thought that this might happen, so I brought some extra food. But yeah, just lovely, absolutely glorious. I'm going to sit and watch the moon, get some food, and then just chill in the tent and rest my weary legs. Good evening. I'm in my tent, as you can probably tell, snuggled up in my sleeping bag. It's a wee bit colder tonight than it was last night. It was balmy. It's really, really warm, but it's not quite so warm tonight. But still, there's hardly a drop of wind. It's absolutely, it's lovely. So I'm camped on the summit of the second Corbett, which I mentioned earlier is one of the highest Corbetts there is, and it's in a spectacular place, overlooking Barrisdale, although I can't see that because of the fog down there. I couldn't really have asked for sort of more spectacular conditions, but yeah, I've still got a fair bit to go. Tomorrow's going to be, I'm still going to have to keep my wits about me. I've still got 2 river crossings, and the ridge that comes off here's got a couple of bad steps in it. And with the big backpack on, I'll just have to be careful. It was a long day today. Thinking back, although the conditions were quite nice, there's not really much in the way of paths, and where there are paths, they're just, it's not like going up the Cobbler or up Ben Nevis, put it that way. There's bits of the paths that aren't even there. There's no path there, and there's other bits where there's big bogs that you can't go through. There was a few times I had to detour up the hill to get round the bog and back onto the path. And coming up here was interesting. I wouldn't fancy doing it in poor visibility or anything other than perfect conditions. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up now and just chill in the tent and go to sleep and hopefully get a good night's sleep, because I'll need it before tackling the long walk out tomorrow. So I'll shut up now and I'll see you guys in the morning. Wow. Well, good morning, folks. It's about half an hour till sunrise. Beautiful over behind me. I can see the silhouette of Ben Nevis and over the Annex and over the Grey Corries. In fact, that is what I'd planned to do. I was going to do the Lochaber Traverse, but didn't for numerous reasons, which I'll not go into, but I'm kind of glad I came here actually. So yeah, it's been a cold night. You can see I don't know if you can make out, but the wee puddle that I've been collecting my water's frozen over overnight, so it has been a bit colder. I thought it was a bit colder last night, and the inversion's just rolling in from the east. It's a bit clearer out towards the sea. Well, the sea's got a wee bit of fog in it, but there's not as much lower cloud through there. It's rolling in now, though. I think it's coming from the east. I wouldn't be surprised if Barrisdale Bay is covered in fog before sunrise. So yeah, big day today. I'll talk about that in a wee while. I'm going to go and chill, get the tent out, a bite to eat, and then I'll let you know what's happening today. But I'm just going to enjoy the sun coming out. Oh, what a view, eh? What a view. This cloud inversion just keeps on giving. Right, so thought I'd just do a boot to camera before the sun comes up, because pointing this way I'll just be silhouetted. I might still just be silhouetted, I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to point out where I'm going. Hopefully you can see past me. But down here, just over my shoulder, is the ridge I've got to go down. It's about 7 or 8 kilometres till I hit the river crossing that I need to do. But what I suppose the bit I really have to concentrate on is the first 2 ups and downs. There's quite steep drop-offs on the other side, or tricky down climbing or down scrambling, even very simple stuff, but still not a place where you want to slip, just given where we are, really. Plus you never really want to slip anyway, do you? Nobody ever goes out with the intention of doing that, but I just need to be on my A game to do that. But it's absolutely glorious. Look at this, and Knoydart is such a special place. Civilisation's that way, and it's a long way that way. There is one road which I've parked on a couple of kilometres, 2 or 3 kilometres that way, which goes to a dead end at Kinlochhourn. And then beyond that, the only way you can get into it is either what I've done today, or over the last 3 days, is a long hike, or getting a boat in. So it's got that real wilderness feel. It does have a pub in it though, believe it or not. On the way on the other side, I think it's called the Forge, Old Forge Inn or something. I can't remember, something like that. And the only way you can get to that is via a ferry as well, unless you walk in again. And I think it's the most remote pub on mainland Britain. There's a wee stretch of road which goes nowhere. I've never actually visited that side. I'll need to do that because there are some more hills I need to come back and do here. But anyway, I'm starting to waffle here. The sun's about to crest. I think from this position it's going to come up over Annick and Annick almost. So lovely. Need to go and get the tent down. Also need to have something to eat, so we'll do that and I'll report back when we're on the ridge. Right, let's go back to the tent. After spending a bit of time watching the sunrise and just illuminating all those peaks to the north, I eventually had to get back to the tent and start getting stuff away and packing it up for the second time. Again, I wasn't super early in doing this. Sunrise was about 9 o'clock and I did loiter for quite a bit of time before getting the tent down. Maybe I should have started earlier. Again, I should have learnt from the mistakes the previous days, but I'm still confident I'd get enough light to get back to the van and down that ridge. It was just such a nice morning. I didn't want to rush. I wanted to soak it all in. What a place to be. Right, whoa, well what a wonderful, wonderful morning as you can see, and it's time to go. I've been doing a lot of faffing about this morning. I did wake up at 6, then went back to sleep until about 8, and then I've just been farting about getting water and taking my time, but I do have I shouldn't have been doing that because I can see me getting back to the van in the dark again. But anyway, it's about 12, 13 kilometres back to the van, and as I said, I've got this lovely ridge walk. There's a few tricky steps in it though, which I'll just have to take my time and be careful over. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy the sun. I'm going to say bye to Knoydart, or that part of the Knoydart Peninsula, and head back to the van. So time to saddle the backpack and get going. Oh, doesn't get any lighter. Right, let's go. So I eventually got on my way and started to head down towards that ridge And the first obstacle on the ridge were those two small peaks, and it was the down climb on the other side of them that was, yeah, was the tricky part. So I just took my time and headed down, and just wanted to make sure I was concentrating and not too tired for when I got to the tricky steps. Oh. Right guys, I'm just below the first nubbin, or the first wee peak, which is just up there. And some of the books do say there's an easier bypass route round to the north side, but you know what? I think that's maybe on the second peak, and this one it's not, although it's higher, from what I've read, it's not as bad a down climb on the other side. So I'm going to head over here. I don't have my action cam's actually run out of batteries. So I'll report back once I'm over the top of this wee, it's over there, this wee nubbin. But look at that behind me, isn't that? Oh, glorious. Woohoo! I'm glad another reason I chose this ridge to come down as opposed to come up. I was going to come up it, is I just knew I'd be higher out of the clouds for longer if the inversion had stayed, and that's what's going to, well, that's what it looks like over my shoulder. I think, yeah, I'll be in the cloud once I get off the ridge, but that's in a few kilometres yet, a few hours anyway. So, right, enough talking. I'll report back in just a second for you guys. Let's hope it's not too bad. Hopefully I'll report back. Right, let's go and tackle this. It's the down climb on the other side which I'm worried about, not this bit. Right, camera off. So the climb up to the top is just a walk really, and once I got to the top I could see what I was going to be facing. It was quite steep, but over to the left it looked like there was a weakness in the ridge to clamber down. So that's where I headed for, and I descended down to the next part on the ridge. Ooh. Right, that's me down, thankfully. One piece, I don't know if you can see behind me, let me just spin you around so you can see. I came down, basically followed the skyline from the left down to the right and then down over these jumble of boulders. So it was a wee bit of scrambling, but nothing too bad. Wasn't too bad at all. So on to this next one. If I can find a path skirting round to the north side, I'll be taking that. Well, I don't know if it'll be a path, but if there's any ledges, I'll do that, because although that was easy, or I'm saying it's easy, it's still, with a big backpack on, it can make it a little bit unwieldy, and it just takes one little trip. So if I can find an easy path round, I'll take it, but I might have to just go up and over the top. And there, right, let's go. Right folks, so I've come around the eastern side, northern side should I say. It's actually really frosty here, so I'm stopping to get my sacks out, because I think only way over is going to be up this wee snow ramp. So I'll see how soft it is. I might put the crampons in as well, but I'm definitely getting ice axe out here. Even for this bit here, it's quite steep. It's a big runoff below me there. It's not a place where you want to fall, so time to put the camera away, just concentrate. I'll report another side. Right, let's do it. Right, what I've needed to do is I'm glad I got the ice axe out, and it was actually safer kicking steps in across here, then up here, got up here and then traversed along here, and popped out here. I don't know if you can see my steps I've kicked, but you can see it's a long drop off. You probably wouldn't stop until you got to the fog. So yeah, not entirely sure whether that is the best option at this time of year, for sure. Even in the summer, the path before you even got to the snow was a bit sketchy. So I'll report back in a minute. I think it's easier ground now. Looking over my shoulder here, seems to go round to the Bollocks. Hopefully that's the hard bit done. So concentration was required there. Let's get around there. I'll keep my sacks out until we get onto open ground again, and I'll report back and see what the down climb is like. Probably a piece of piss compared to that. But anyway, that can often be the case with detour paths. They're not always the safest. Anyway, right, onwards we go. Whew, right, you can see the other route up and over. It doesn't look too bad from here, but actually when I was coming round, it's pretty steep. drop-offs down over round to the north. I can tell you how steep it is. I must stop and get my ice axe away now. Yeah, the first bit doesn't look too bad, but at the top there is some slabby rocks, and yeah, I don't know if I would have fancied that with a big backpack on, so that's one to be aware of. I certainly would go up there with a big pack on the way up. It's always different when you're coming down. It's always a wee bit more tricky. So I don't know, both as bad as each other. Just be aware of that if you're coming this way. Right, time to have a wee seat, get my other pole out, my ice axe away. Oh. I suppose. Let's go. So time was marching on, and it had taken me once again more time than I'd thought to get over these two small difficulties, and it was just lovely now. I knew that there wasn't anything technical, but there was still a lot of distance to cover on pathless terrain. And there were still some crags I had to negotiate and be careful, but it did feel like heaven up here. It was absolutely lovely. Right, I've just stopped here because it gives a good perspective of the two knobs, of the two nubbins that I've had to come over. You can see the first one there, where are we? There, which wasn't too bad, and then the second one, where did I come? This way, there, that's the one where it was a bad drop. So yeah, a better perspective of it from down below than looking down on it if you've not come back that way. So there is a fair bit of drop, and you can see around the side of that second one there is a bit of a runoff where I came. So it's swings and roundabouts for that. Anyway, I'm now making some progress. Yeah, it's a bit flatter here, but there's lots. I'm lying, it's not flat. There's lots of ups and downs, but I'm able to get into a bit more of a stride than. Yeah, for the first hour, where I was just trying to stay alive. So yeah, I'll report back. There's another summit along here. It's not a separate top because there's not much of a drop and a reascent. So when I get there, I'll report back. Woo! Oh man, this is exhausting. So many ups and downs in this ridge. So I've just come all the way up to this summit behind me. There. And I've still got to go to this summit before dropping down. I'm going to stop on this summit for my final bit to eat. It's the last bit of food I've got. And then it's probably another 8 or 9 kilometres back to the car. Oh man, and the Brocken, or the glow rays, it's not the Brocken, it's my glow rays down there, I don't know if you can see it. With the shadow of the hill cast down onto the fog below. Rather spectacular. Right, let's drop down here and then ascend back up there. Oh man. Whew, it's beautiful. I've stopped here, I'm exhausted. And I've literally just had my last piece of food, which was a Nutrigrain bar. So I was feeling like I needed it. I've probably got another 2 kilometres to go, dropping down out of the inversion to the river crossing, and then I pick up the path. Kind of glad I came down this way. It's been a lot. It's like a roller coaster. Ups and downs, there's no path to follow, so you're having to kind of find your own way in and amongst the rocky ground and the lock-ins, which has probably added about double the distance. I'm not complaining because it's allowed me to stay up high above the clouds. I think that long walk out along the side of the loch and under the gloom, knowing it was like this up here, would have killed me. So yeah, I'm going to sit here for a bit longer. It's what time is it? It's just the back of 1. So I've got another couple of hours till sunset. I feel confident I'll get back to the van before it's dark. As I said, I've still got my head torches. Still got 2 that I haven't used, so should I need them, they'll come out, but I don't think I will. So, lovely. A well-earned break at the moment. I've not got much juice left in my battery, but that's me just about to descend back into the mist. Look at that around there, just about on the top of the clouds. Feels like I could walk out onto it. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, I'm going to be in the clouds soon, so I'm going to conserve the battery, just do wee bits and bobs. If not, it'll be phone stuff, but I'm not keen to use that either. There's my broken as well down there. Right, let's continue on. So I was soon back down under the fog into a frosty winter gloom. I tell you what, being hungry now, it felt more like hell than heaven. Right, I'm really sorry about that, but the what happened there was the battery died on my camera. I dropped down. I knew there wasn't much juice left in the battery, and I didn't have a big camera. That was away for repairs, so I just had my small cameras, and those batteries are smaller and don't last as long, although I did have 3 of them and a big power bank. Anyway, when I dropped down into under the cloud and it was freezing, I think that just killed the batteries. So from that point onwards, it was pretty rough going. Navigation was even more of an issue. There was no path, as I'd said earlier on. So I had to find my way down amongst the crags, and I was glad when I got down to the loch shore. But even there, I had to cross that river, which wasn't an issue. It hadn't rained in the previous day, so that was dead easy. It was just a long slog back to the van. And the second river crossing, which was the first one I went over, it was fine as well. In fact, it was a lot easier. I didn't even need to put my gaiters on to get across that one. And I got back to the van just before it got dark, and I was really hungry because I'd run out of food. I'd had my last Nutrigrain bar just in that last wee bit of camera that you saw, so I was starving by the time I got back. What did I have when I got back? I got a litre of orange juice, I had a Scotch egg, I then made myself 2 Lorne sausage and black pudding rolls with tomato sauce, which was rather nice. I had a chocolate orange and a packet of crisps and a big coffee, and then drove home in the dark. So it was good. But yeah, so I do apologise, you never got to see the end of it. But I took some photographs. I might have put some of them up. It was just on my phone. But I was keen not to use my phone because I was down to about 20%, just in case anything would happen. So that was Knoydart. I also wanted to put a bit in now about the trip and why it took me a lot longer than expected, and also just to highlight and re-emphasise the warning that I put up right at the beginning. And this is in a lot of the books as well. It does state that these places like Knoydart, are very remote. You have to have your wits about you because you're walking into somewhere where there's not much of any civilization. Paths are literally non-existent. Where there are paths, they're pretty ropey, as you saw. Some bits were fine, to be honest with you, but because I was doing it in December, most of the paths were pretty waterlogged, really slippy. You couldn't really get it going at a good pace. So that was something to bear in mind. Even if you're doing it in good weather in the summer and the long days, it takes a lot out of you. I've said this hundreds of times before, when you've not got a good path to follow, and a lot of the stuff there was no path at all, it does slow you down and it does take up more of your energy because you're not just plodding on. You have to think about where you're putting your feet. It's uneven, it's steep ground, there's rocky crags, there's a whole assortment of things. So yeah, you're going into a pretty remote area. You've got river crossings as well. Now, they weren't bad when I was there, and yeah, if it's been torrential rain, you'll not get across at least, well, probably all 3 of those river crossings that I did without wading. And you're a long way from anywhere there. That's the other thing to consider. It's not like you're I don't know, in the Cove or Glencoe when you're right at the side of the road and there's lots of other people around. I never met one person in the 4 days I was up there, not one soul, albeit it was the middle of December. So you've got to sort of bear that in mind as well. There's serious mountains, there's lots of rocky crags. Even coming down the ridgeline, I was having to come back because I couldn't get around the side. You saw the bit that I went round to avoid the steep drop. That was serious. Had I not had my ice axe with me, I didn't need my crampons. I was able to kick steps into the snow, but I wouldn't have felt comfy doing that without my ice axe. So although I didn't encounter any snow apart from that one patch, it was vital that I had that gear with me. Another thing I would suggest is do what I did, take enough provisions for an extra day. I would have been struggling had I not had that. I know I eventually ran out of food, but I'd taken enough for that 3rd day, which was fine. Don't expect a phone signal unless you're on the tops. I certainly didn't get one. The only time I had a phone signal was when I was on the top of the two mountains, which can sometimes happen. So that's another reason why it can be quite a serious place. So anyway, although I'm sort of painting the negatives here, it was one of the best trips I think I've ever done because of the conditions, that wee bit of you know, you're on the edge, you're thinking about where you're going, how you're going to get there. You know you're not going to get help from anybody else, so don't let me put you off. But if you're inexperienced, I would maybe try and get some experience before going to these places, especially in December. I got lucky. I don't know if I went over why I went in December, but there was a high pressure and the inversion weather. It was actually quite warm, especially on the first night. It was I think it was about 14 or 15 degrees. It was fabulous. Right, anyway, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna end the video here. Thanks again for watching. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next adventure.